Good afternoon, beautiful people. My name is Toya and I'm your host from Talks with Toya and Tito. And today we are going to be having a hot and happening discussion. I'm just going to give an opportunity for my co-host to introduce herself. Yes.
Greetings, starlights, moonbeams, and sunshines. I am Tito of Talks with Toya and Tito. I am a 27-year-old mother of two, a boy and a girl. I am a mental health ambassador, a performer, and an all-round motivational speaker. I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder in 2018 and have ever since been going through what I call healing is not a destination but a journey. So that is a bit of who I am, my story about why our first episode mainly deals with mental health, because these are topics that are not attacked in our society. I am grateful to have you here with us, and I hope you have a blast getting to know a little bit more about mental health.
As many as 1 in 6 South Africans suffer from depression, anxiety, or substance abuse. This does not include bipolar disorder or schizophrenia. Although mental health is wildly on the rise and it's being recognized by many people, there is still a stigma that is attached to mental health. This comes from centuries and centuries of people with mental health being mocked, humiliated, or locked away. So we have a culture of people that do not talk about the fact that they are struggling with depression or struggling with schizophrenia because they are afraid of what people will think about them. In South Africa, treatment can be very difficult to be accessed. Global mental health states that 800,000 people commit suicide per year. This is 1 in every 4 seconds. So how do you deal with mental health? You know, I was just doing some research and it says that you could diet. So you need to, not diet as in getting underweight, ladies. This is just making sure that you are eating your right portions of food, your right meat, your right, taking enough water in your body, your vegetables and that. Exercise. I know you all cringed when I said exercise. Yes, you've got to exercise, get physical. And then do a little bit of gardening, be more outdoors. People that are depressed, you'll notice they're a lot indoors, in darkness, in their rooms with curtains closed and that. Try and break out of that cycle. Try and surround yourself with colors and light and activity. And lastly, sleep. Most people that are dealing with depression or any mental health cannot sleep at night. So try and go see a doctor, a therapist that can get you to start sleeping. I don't recommend sleeping pills. Personally, I never took any of that because I've got an addictive nature. I know that about myself. So I just stayed away from that. What does mental illness mean to you?
Hi everyone, my name is Stefy Jagger and I'm a rapper all the way from Johannesburg. I'm someone who comes from a background of mental illness, and for the longest time I did not even know that I was walking around with it. After a few years of sitting in front of a TV program actually reading out the symptoms of depression, I realized that I was ticking the box to each and every single one. And once that happened, everything in my life started to make sense. You see, mental illness has this tendency of creeping into our lives without us even realizing it. It is so subtle. Therefore, so many of us are walking around with it, not even knowing that we have it. So this is a conversation that we really need to open up and broaden up to each and every single person, because a lot of us are being affected by it. The victim who has it is not the only one who is affected, but those who is close to the person. So it is a conversation that we need to open up and we need to start talking about, so that a lot of us can come to realization and ask ourselves, am I sitting with a mental illness?
Hi guys, my name is Masefeli Mosia. I swear to God, I feel like I'm doing my YouTube channel. But anyways, my name is Masefeli Mosia. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on YouTube. But I think that the conversation that we're having is super, super important, considering that, in my opinion, this is not the kind of conversation that gets had in like non-Caucasian homes. Like for me, in a black home, it's a conversation we've never had, and I know the generation above me did not have the conversation, because I do have a dad who is diagnosed with a specific form of mental illness that has been left untreated for many years, just because we look at it as though it's a weakness, it's an ailment, it's not real, it's imaginary because it's in your head, it's imaginary because it's in your mind. You just need to fix your mind. And I think a lot of black people, my opinion, sort of ignored that, and I think this generation is not ignoring it. What I think mental illness is if you equate your physical health to your mental health. So if you look at a person who's always trying to stay fit or stay healthy physically, that should be the way it is for your mind. It needs to be a constant, I need to keep my mind healthy, I need to be watching my thoughts, I need to be watching what I allow into my space. I need to be the same way you would handle being on a diet is the same way you should be considering your mental health. So I think mental health is overall, it's your overall well-being, starting with your mind.
Hi everyone, my name is Leezz Khahel. I am an entrepreneur and business coordinator by profession, but I am also a mother, a wife, a sister, a daughter, and a friend. And because I play all of these different roles, I feel like the topic we're having today is so especially and incredibly important, especially since I myself am going through something very similar at this moment in my life. So mental illness for me is a state of being. It's a form of who we are. It's not just psychological. It's emotional, it's physical, it's mental. It's more than just how we handle stress. It's also how we handle our everyday situations, our thoughts, our decision making. And I have seen on a personal basis how this can affect not just me, but my friends, my family. I mean, mental illness is something that affects everybody's lives directly or indirectly, and it's never spoken about. It's part of who we are, where we come from, and where we're going. The reason why I say this, nobody wakes up in the morning deciding that today I want to be bipolar, today I want to be depressed, today I want to feel suicidal. It comes from trauma and issues and hurts and pains and situations, and most of the time it's not something that happened yesterday so we can fix it like as in today. It comes with time, and that is why I say it's a form of who we are. It is our total being, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, past, present, and future.
When was it when you realized that, what was the trigger for you when you realized, I have to do something or else I'll end up dead?
So with depression, I did not necessarily have a trigger, but what I did have was a boiling point. I was tired of feeling the way that I was feeling each and every single day. I was tired of feeling suicidal. I was tired of crying. I was tired of feeling rejected. And at some point, I was just like, I can't take this anymore. If something does not give right now, I'm going to end up taking my own life. And this was literally the year after I matriculated. And luckily for me, I had time spent alone at home, so I could cry out loud. And I remember me just going to God and crying out to him and begging him to deliver me from this thing, because it was too much for me to bear and I couldn't handle it on my own. I did not even know where to start, to start my healing process. So I cried out to God, and when I did that, he started taking me through a whole healing process and he delivered me from it. So for me, I did not have a trigger, but I definitely did have a boiling point, and at that point I had to decide. It's either I make a change or I go through with it and I just end my life.
When I realized I might have issues was when I was 16, 17. That was around the time when I had we left the situation that we were in, and growing up was very traumatic, to say the very least. It was very, very dramatic, and I think a lot of people who go through something dramatic tend to be very funny, and I think I'm funny, or very loud, just because we try to quiet down what's happening in our minds. And that was me for basically the whole of my life. I turned 16 and I started just not wanting to get out of bed in the morning, not wanting to take a shower, not understanding the purpose of life. I just basically had no hope, but I couldn't I couldn't quite put a name on it because I just didn't know what it was yet. And I doubt, I was like that for 16. Going into 17, it became a bit dangerous for my future because I was unable to study now. Like, I just couldn't study. I couldn't bring myself to open a book and study. My room was a mess. My mind was a mess. And I had started to experience these migraines. And these migraines would not go away unless I slept. No painkillers worked for these migraines. Nothing, absolutely nothing worked for these migraines. They were so intense, like it was extremely intense. My mom decided, okay, let's go to the doctor. Maybe there's something wrong with her brain. That's how bad it was. Like, maybe something is wrong. Maybe she needs glasses, So I went to the hospital. I got there. They tested me. Every possible test they could do, they did on me that day. And I waited on the bed, still suffering from these migraines, and everything came back fine. My physical body was actually 100% fine, and they said to me, we need to sit down with a psychologist and let's find out what's really going on. So the trigger that made me think, you need to do something, otherwise your life is going to the dogs, was when I was in hospital. And I was diagnosed, and the doctor said it. He said it with his mouth. He said, I'm going to diagnose you with depression now, and we're going to put you on antidepressants, and you're going to need to do counseling, and we're going to still need to figure out which ones work. I was like, what? Depression. And I was like, depression. And I was like, something needs to give. Like, he's right, I've been in this state for so long that now that he's naming it, I'm like, flip. Or have I been just chilling in this state and being comfortable in it? So the moment the doctor said it to me and said, we're diagnosing you with depression, I was like, something needs to change. And then, of course, I tried the way that they said I should try changing it. So that was the trigger for me.
Okay, so earlier I said that mental illness is not something that happens overnight. It's something that actually takes time. And it takes time to get to that realization that you actually need help. And for me, it took a good solid couple of years to get there, to that point of actually getting help. But when I realized I really needed it was this year. So recently I lost my husband. And earlier this year I lost my mom. And things have just been very downhill from there. And there's been a lot of changes in my behavior, in my attitude, in the way I treat people, in the way I treat myself, and I could see this. I got to a point where I didn't even recognize myself when I looked in the mirror, like I scared myself. But then I started picking up habits and patterns and behaviors in my daughter. And that scared me because I realized that she's going through a form of mental illness. And she started feeling... Please forgive me, this is like so personal. And she started feeling suicidal. And at first, you've got this thing of going, it's teenage stages and she wants attention. But in the back of my mind, I knew that this is not what it is. This is actually an illness, and this person is really going, and my daughter is like really, really going through a lot because I've been there and I've been through it. And that's just the point. And for so many years, I've hid it and I've hid it. I hid it. Please excuse me. The emotions is not making the English come out. For so many years, I hid it so well. And I pretended for so long that I was good. Until I saw it in my daughter and I realized that I need to stop lying to myself. And I need to stop pretending that everything is okay. And I need to seek the help that I need so that I can give her the help that she needs. And that for me was my breaking point.
Yeah, wow, sure. these answers. Wow, guys, you've been through so much, and I'd like to just, say that I am proud of you. You've had to deal with so much on your own, and having to establish a rhythm in your life that is healthy for you and your family. And the next question I would also ask is, what will you teach your children when it comes to mental health? How will you prepare them to be able to deal with life, because life happens, life throws curveballs at us, and then we need to be able to deal with it. So what would you teach your children when it comes to that?
Now, what I would teach my children, concerning mental illness is that it doesn't choose who it wants. It goes for anyone and everyone. It does not discriminate. And when you do realize that you are sitting with a condition, it is important to start talking about it, because mental illness has the power to take one's life from you. Therefore, it is something that you should not be sitting with on your own. We have to stop being ashamed of it, because it is not something that is shameful, but it is rather something that affects our daily lives, and we need to talk about it.
How I'm going to deal with mental illness with my child is just like any talk that's very serious and very heavy that might strip your child of their innocence. And I'm sort of speaking specifically now about the sex talk. I think those are the kind of conversations, sex talk and mental illness talk. And, as you parent, you find out what other types of talks you need to, have with your kids. But I think those are conversations that I had gradually. And I think those are things that you teach and you instill in them naturally. Like, for me, I do say, and something I think if I knew, I would have been able to deal with things better. It's okay to be sad today. Okay, it's okay to feel lonely today. Like, your feelings are actually okay to feel. Don't suppress them. Don't use them as an excuse to fail. Acknowledge your feeling, deal with your feeling, and then keep it moving. The worst thing you could do is be sad and allow that sadness, and you pretend like you're not, but you allow that sadness to seep in and to poison other things. Acknowledge the sadness for what it is. Acknowledge the fact that it will be temporary. Acknowledge the fact that tomorrow will come and there'll be hope again. You know what I'm saying? The sun will rise and there'll be hope again. And that's just something I'm teaching my child, that if you're sad, it's okay to be sad now. It's not okay to be sad tomorrow. It's okay to be sad now. Deal with it now. And then just have that mental knowing that tomorrow will be better. And I think that's how, for me, I've been able to deal, because I've gotten off of the antidepressants and everything like that. So now it's just a mental, it's okay to be sad right now, but tomorrow you fight. And we don't have 3 days in the week where you sad now, but tomorrow you fight. And that's what you need to hold on to.
Okay, so what I would teach my children about mental illness is that mental illness is not a disease. It's not something that will kill you and you're gonna die, because we all think that way. Well, not all, most of us. Well, people, when we don't understand something better, we tend to think the worst about it. But I think mental illness is like any other painful sore that you get. If you cut your knee and you don't clean it, and you don't take out the dirt, and you don't change the bandages, it will get infected, and the cut will grow, and eventually it will affect your whole leg. The same with mental illness. When we have mental illnesses that we are going through, we need to direct it. We need to speak about it. We need to clean it out. We need to change the band-aid, if you want to say it in that manner. Because even though it's not a physical cut that you can see or clean or wash or change the band-aid, because it's in our mind, it doesn't make it less important. Because it's in our mind, it doesn't make it less painful. I think it actually makes it more painful. But we treat it like in your life. You need to speak about it. You need to seek help. You need to get the help that you need, sort it out, clean it out, so that it doesn't go septic and start to affect every other part of your life.
And I believe that when you get down on your knees in prayer, you will get answers. But is prayer and being mentally unstable really enough?
So prayer was definitely a huge part in my deliverance. So prayer is definitely important. But there's also a lot of things that we have to do in order to protect ourselves from, falling back into that trap. You see, there's a lot of things that we tend to allow into our lives, a lot of things that we just accept And those things sometimes is what actually goes towards you heading into mental illness. So we need to check what we are allowing into our lives. We need to check our behaviors as well. You can't just keep doing, the same things you did last time that got you into that space and expect things to be different. You need to be careful about what you let into your life. And then also another point is when you are coming out of depression or when you're trying to get your healing, you need to be able to talk about things. Because you see, with me, I got to the point of deep depression because I did not speak to anyone about anything. Even after I came out of depression, I only started telling people recently that, hey, I was depressed. But it is something that you need to talk about, you see, because talking actually acts like a release. And once you start talking, it no longer really has that power over you, because when we're holding things to ourselves, we tend to allow it to have power over us. But the minute you start to speak about it, you start to regain that power and take it back, therefore giving depression less and less and less power over you. So talk about it, and also make sure that you are careful about what you actually allow to happen in your life.
As a born-again believer, do I believe that prayer works for mental illness? Speaking specifically for me with my mental illness, the thing that did help me was prayer, because I was on antidepressants, and on the antidepressants I found it very difficult to feel anything, sadness, happiness, excitement, like I felt nothing. I was very numb. There was really nothing to it. The only thing it helped me with was not to feel sad, but then I didn't feel anything. And I realized I don't want to live like that, because it's just a blur life. I'd rather feel something than to feel nothing. And then I relied a lot on prayer and, God, and worshiping and being in the presence of God. I relied heavily on that, and that helped me and still helps me today. I do now know my triggers. I know when I'm heading into a bad place. So I'm able to, fight it before it gets to a place where I can't fight it anymore. But with me, the thing that did help me was prayer. However, I do think that if you are, mentally ill and you are on medication, and, you need to be on the medication, rather stay on the medication and use the medication and prayer at the same time. But personally for me, prayer was the thing that got me out of my depression, and still, because I don't think people realize that it's with mental illness, it doesn't just go away and disappear and never comes back again. You need to fight it daily. So my thing that works for me is prayer.
Yes, I'm a Christian. Yes, I'm a born-again Christian. Yes, I believe in the power of prayer, and yes, I believe in the blood of God. However, I do believe strongly that when you go through things such as mental illness, doesn't matter what it is, be it depression, eating disorder, bipolar, or just generally feeling overwhelmed, because I know we all go through such things. Like me, there are days when I feel like I slept for 5 days, but I'm still more tired than I was when I went to sleep the day before. Those things, seek help, really. Speak to somebody, get into a support group, get counseling. And I'm not saying don't pray. I'm not saying don't pray. Prayer changes a lot of things. Prayer is powerful. But for me, praying and getting help goes hand in hand. It's a two-part series for me, but that's just me. That's just my opinion at the end of the day.
This session has been so informative for me, and the next question that I want to ask is, ladies, do you think that mental health should be taught in schools? We're seeing a lot of adults that have not matured mentally and don't know how to deal with their own emotions, so they train tantrums like 3-year-olds. So should it not be taught in schools?
I believe that there are a lot of things that become part of our daily lives as adults that have to be taught in school. For instance, banking and drawing up a budget and learning how to file for taxes. These are basic skills that we need to learn to do. And mental illness is also one of those things that have to be taught in school, because it is something that a lot of adults actually end up sitting with. I remember when I was in high school, that was when I was actually sitting with mental illness. But because nobody taught it to me, nobody spoke to me about it, I did not know that I had it. All I knew was that there is something wrong with me and I do not know what it is. A lot of kids are facing this because of the amount of stress that they have to deal with in schools concerning studies, the amount of bullying that they have to go through. There's a lot of aspects that actually form part of mental illness in a child's life. And teenagers, specifically go through so much, and that's why we have such a high teenage suicide rate. So it is definitely something that has to be taught in schools.
I think that conversations about mental health should be had at home, should be had at schools, should be had wherever. But I think that parents should take on the responsibility to have these kinds of conversations with their kids, because you control the narrative. And I think that if we leave it up to schools, and I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I think that parents should take it upon themselves. Same way again with the sex talk. Take it upon yourself. Introduce it the way you want to introduce it, the way you see fit as a parent to introduce it to your child, and let it move that way, so that by the time they get to school, they've already got an idea of what mental health is, and what their feelings are, what their emotions are, understanding as well that feelings, are temporary and they'll pass. And, those things I think should be taken on by parents. And I think that the schools can help, but I don't think that it's the school's responsibility, because again, as a parent, you need to control the narrative in which your child sees, learns, hears, feels things.
Yes, I believe that mental health should be taught in schools. I really believe that a lot of teenagers and a lot of young kids in primary school, as young as primary school, are actually going through a lot of issues at school, whether it be not understanding the work, not fitting into the groups, peer pressure, the bullying. And I mean, I've been there, I've gone through it. Trust me, a lot of the issues that I'm facing today, I realize comes a very, very long way back to high school. But because we were never taught about such things, and it was never one of those things that people actually speak about. It was just, life uzoba strong, uyaqina, uyaqhubeka, yeah. But yes, I really believe that it should be taught in school, but also us as parents and as the community in a whole, we should start speaking about this in our homes. We should start opening up more to our kids about it. Teach them exactly what mental illness is. Teach them the signs, the symptoms, what to look out for. And I mean, really, the saying, charity begins at home. When it comes to things as important as mental health, your thoughts, your feelings, the buck starts with us as parents. It starts at home and then it spreads out to the school. So yes, I believe it should be taught at school, but it's not solely the teacher's responsibility. It is ours as well.
Okay, so this part of the show is called Local is Lekker. So what we're looking at the lekker and local today is we are looking at a young man called Hemilton, who stays in Turffontein in Johannesburg, who has started a brand called Composure, and it has been taking social media by the storm. So we're just going to show you some of Hamilton's designs, and if you would like to get in contact with him, we will drop his details on the screen. You can send him a WhatsApp or Facebook him, and you can get yourself some composure. So take a look at this video.
Don't underestimate me. Everybody be talking talking about me lately, saying who's the new chick on the mainstream. She be dropping bars, spitting on the daily. I got no time to be joking, all the haters be hoping that I be climbing up slowly. About the sipping the cola, and I don't wanna act holy, but your face is too phony. I never called you my homie, but now you wanna be on me. I'm sorry that I step on your toes. I didn't mean to embarrass you, right to find your host. No time to be sulking, that's a life I chose. Don't you want to me because my heart is cold. I rise up like a phoenix, you grass is told. My flow is too fast, your brain too slow. I be sweet on the outer, but I cut like a dagger. Bitch, you wish you never had an encounter with Jagger. Don't underestimate me. Don't underestimate me. Don't underestimate me. Don't try to be a boss if you're gonna power. You be counting out losses every single hour. You had to watch your back while you took a shower. Bending over as you're busy getting touched with karma. And you know, I know, you never saw it coming. You should have pulled up before the second coming. You should have made a better choice for your own protection. Putting down my legacy for your own erection. It may be jealousy or maybe underestimation. Get you facts in order or a situation. I only make it far because of my dedication. I never played it because I'm big on sanitation. I ain't the old damn me, man, I'm grown. I always knew I had to make it on my own. I shot out of the box unexpectedly. You should have never underestimated me.
And then today I would like to officially introduce Stefy Jagger. So she's been answering some of our questions and she's been a key part in my mental journey. And I just wanted her just to perform one of our tracks, guys. She is hot and happening and her music is amazing. So we're just gonna listen to Stefy Jagger right now. Yes.
So the song is called Unexpected, which is basically about my life and how everything that I am today has become so unexpected. I never expected to become a rapper or such a huge creative, but yes, this is my life. And the song is dedicated to anyone who was undermined or underestimated. Yeah, just the way I planned it. Yeah. Now you're looking shocked, like you never saw it, like you never saw it. You always thought I was a little girl, but you were shocked and I just had to kick you to the curb. And I'm sorry, but I don't care about your ego that is growing overnight, because you always giving free hoes. My place is not the kitchen, even though I'm cooking storms. I'm not a baby maker, even though I'm putting flows. Don't give me automated, or you'll be the one to go. You'll end up packing feelings and you'll catch an Uber home. You busy undermining my power, but my balls are bigger than the ones you desire. Call the firefighters, cause I'm busy splitting flames. A street to watch you know while I be changing my lanes. You underestimated me, but are you insane? You think you beating me, but I'm in a different game. Everybody thinking every record the same. Everybody thinking every record the same. But the truth is fake, like the truth ain't cake. You trying to be a hero, but you faking change. You trying to be relevant just to get to fame, but I will be the one to rain out on your rain. You always judging you and me. Obviously you were wrong. Now you're just a groupie who wish you could be in the sun, heading to the top. And just the way I planned it. Now you're looking shocked, like you never saw it coming. Baby, unexpected. But what were you expecting? Reality is a bit too bleak when you're against me. So what were you expecting? I came in very unexpected, but you just standing there be stressing while I'm here finessing. Very unexpected, very unexpected. You busy choking while I'm busy finessing, hoping that I'll be tripping, hoping that I'll be stressing. But karma will come around and we'll say I'm way too good. When you acting with your bush, you think you're better than the hood. I never knew I would make it to the stage. I like it way too much, I think that I am here to stay. Just come a little closer, let me rub it in your face. You thinking that I'm cool, but I'm thinking this is straight. I took a lift, now everything is coming right. But you didn't think that the hustle would come at a price, cause your pockets were too shallow, but you're pushing a strike. You blow every day, now you're heading to a strike. The world doesn't revolve around you. You don't have goes and downs, all you have is curfew. Calling yourself a place, but thinking that you were speeds. Only time that you are places when you stretch too much is me. Undermining my power, busy insulting my ego. You treated me like a victim, but I'm becoming the hero. You aim me right for the top, but heading straight on to zero. Busy having delusions, thinking I'm your amigo. Do not turn me jealousy, it will take you to the blues. Don't try to take me on if you can walk in my shoes. It's time to wake up, I'm about to trade in my gown. Must be hard for you to see my cat into a crown. Getting to the top, just the way I planned it. Now you're looking shocked, like you never saw it coming. Very unexpected, but what were you expecting? Reality is about to bleed when you were against me. So what were you expecting? I came in very unexpected, but you just standing there be stressing while I'm here finessing. Very unexpected, very unexpected.
And in closing, I would like to thank you for firstly watching, joining us, and I'd love to thank our guests, the ladies that shared bits and pieces of their lives and their stories. And like I always say, that healing is not a destination, it is a journey. Thank you very much. I am Tito, and we are Talks with Toya and Tito. We should catch you and see you next time on our next episode.
Yeah. Don't underestimate me. Everybody be talking about me lately, saying who's the neat chick on the mainstream. She be dropping bars, spitting on the daily. I got no time to be joking, all the haters be hoping that I be climbing up slowly while they sipping the cola. And I don't wanna act holy, but your face is too phony. I never called you my homie, but now you wanna be on me. I'm sorry that I step on your toes. I didn't mean to embarrass you right in front of your host. No time to be sulking, that's a life I chose. Don't warm up to me because my heart is cold. I rise up like a phoenix, 2 grams of toad. My flow is too fast, your brain too slow. I be sweet on the outer, but I cut like a dagger. But you wish you never had an encounter with Jagger. Underestimate me. Underestimate me. Underestimate me. Don't try to be a boss if you're gonna power. You be counting our blessings every single hour. You had to watch your back while you took a shower, bending over as your pussy get in touch with karma. And you know, I know, you never saw it coming. You should have pulled up before the second coming. You should have made a better choice for your own protection, putting down my legacy for your own erection. It may be jealousy or maybe underestimation. Get you faction or the overlap situation. I only make it far because of my dedication. I never played it because I'm big on sanitation. I ain't the old damn me when I'm grown. I always knew I had to make it on my own. I shot out of the box unexpectedly. You should have never underestimated me. Underestimate me. Underestimate me. Underestimate me. Underestimate me. Underestimate me.